Good morning, evening, or afternoon, whichever one's going on for you at this current point in time. Today we're talking about the Flex multi-tool and specifically why you would not want this one and maybe pick up the Milwaukee. Again, that's the one I'm using currently, but I'm going to give you a couple of pros and cons for both. And specifically, I left a couple of comments on people's videos talking about vibration, and maybe I thought I got a bad one. People were telling me that theirs virtually has no vibration. That is incorrect. So I just unboxed another one, took the other one back to the store, and lo and behold, I got a couple of gripes about why you would maybe not want this tool. I am giving, again, let me just pan a little that way. I am giving Flex tools a chance. Just kind of, yes, a lot of Flex tools and whatnot. A lot more behind me and over there and over here, but specifically the multi-tool, I wanted it because if I'm getting into the Flex line, again, I want everything to kind of be on one battery instead of having to bring 50 batteries with me. And con number one is me fighting for real estate. Like if you have bigger hands, look where your hand has to kind of be fighting because of the position of the battery. This makes no sense, Flex. You made this giant thing. At that point, just add another inch to the tool. It should have been like this, right? There should have been no issue about me, grabbing my tool. The 2.0 stacked lithium battery, it stops like here, so there's no issue as far as the real estate because the 2.0 stops there. This is the standard 2.5, so if you are going to be using this tool, I highly recommend you get the 2.0 stacked lithium over the regular stuff. Yes, so con number one is the grip, right? Especially because this portion here has no texture like the lower part. So when you're holding it, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, look where your hand is. It's over one of the vent holes, or two actually, both of these. So for you to grab it, it's just going to cause a lot more heating for your tool. Now excuse the dirty fingernails and whatnot. I was doing something mechanic related and I just kind of wanted to rush this video along. But besides the grip, we got to talk about the fact that their first tool for multi-tools was Starlock, forcing so many people to use blades that they don't currently have, right? Starlock system, it is what it is, and I'm glad that, Flex does include out of the box. It comes with two blades, one for wood and one that is for wood and metal. And you basically clamp it down, right? It locks in place, and you've got your tool. But con number two is that you're not always going to find these blades everywhere. And when you do, they're super expensive compared to the standard stuff. Everybody else is using universal OIS, right? Milwaukee's like, hey, guys, you probably got 50, 100, 200 blades. Let me just pull some out here. You could buy a big pack of them and just have blades everywhere. Throw them in your car, throw them in your truck. A lot of people are not really sharpening them because they lose their temper once they're heated. But you want good stuff all the time. And forcing people onto a platform when they're not ready to make that transition, it sucks. So you should have gone with OIS for your first. The recent Makita 52 multi-tool, that one also has Starlock. While people do like Makita, it's another thing where it's like, get people ready for the transition and also offer people a non-Starlock model. That would have been cool. Con number three is noise. So I'm going to go get a sound meter just to show you that, this one compared to the Milwaukee and compared to even an old $20 Walmart Hyper Tough multi-tool, you're going to get pretty similar performance to something you can get for significantly cheaper if you don't mind the cord. So just to crank this up, no gimmicks, no games, max speed. Let's see what we got. So you saw we got to about 101 at the peak, but it was pretty consistent at about 100 decibels on max. That is not something you're going to obviously be doing all the time because you're only running these for smaller cuts. But at the same time, that is pretty loud. But the main thing is let's see what the Milwaukee can do. Again, crank up to max, which is 12, and let's see what's going on. Again, I'm doing this with the base tool because obviously people are going to be using different blades. So if you have thicker blades or thinner blades, the vibration in that can be different. So do keep that in mind. But no blade in. Again, with the screw all the way in so it's not clacking against anything or rubbing against the threads. Nice and even. Again, Starlock was locked in. So max speed. So we saw that we peaked around 96, maybe 96 and a half decibels. That is noticeably different. When we're talking about 5, 6, 7 decibels lower, and then pretty much anywhere else that wasn't directly next to the head was at about 88 to 90. That 5 to 10 decibel difference really does make a difference. Multi-tool from HyperTough, Walmart. Let's see what it has on minimum speed. All right, so easily climbs to 100, then kind of settles back down. Sounds like a grumpy old man getting awakened from his nap. At max speed, I'm just gonna cut it there. That was a 107. Not trying to piss off my neighbors, but easily you can see 101, 107, and 96 at peak. To be clear, as far as speeds, both of these go to 10,000 to 20,000. Both the M12 and the Flex do match. So as far as performance, on paper, they should be the same, right? Well, the Flex is the only one that really keeps up with the Milwaukee M18 in terms of raw power and speed. However, when you talk about size, when you talk about awkward grip, when you talk about noise, when you talk about Starlock, and when you talk about vibration, which is the next con number 4 is vibration. This thing on the lowest speed, you can definitely feel that in the hand. Meanwhile, still on maximum speed, there's next to no vibration on the M12. I would argue that this is probably the #1 multi-tool out right now. I hate to say it because I own it, but because it's tried and true. I'm telling you, if you grab one of these for yourself, you will grab this and be like, oh my God, the Flex is heavier, the M12 is not. This is something that's not going to make too much noise if you're a handy person or a plumber or somebody who's in somebody's house. You don't got the dogs barking, the kids are covering their ears, everybody's closing doors and asking you when it's your time to go home because they want you out of there. You're making too much noise. As far as the Flex and the Milwaukee for durability, I feel like if I dropped this down the stairs, it would be perfectly fine. I do feel like the Milwaukee would definitely suffer a little more in terms of durability. And again, the Flex is covered for life, at least for now. Flex, company, I'm talking to you. You need to make this lifetime warranty of yours just permanent. The only thing you have as a playing card against Milwaukee is the lifetime warranty. If you make it a 5-year warranty, people are going to go with what they know will last 10, 20 years already. Not you. Your tools are extra heavy. People could deal with that. Your tools make more noise. People can kind of deal with that. The vibration, the fatigue on the hands, the heaviness, that you need to work on ergonomics. We know you have the power. We know you have the speed. And we know you're slowly bringing your line up and you're expanding your platform. But ergonomically, you know, a tradesman is not going to go up and down stairs with a bag full of your tools, right? An elevator maintenance guy where the elevator is not working doesn't want to have a bag full of Flex tools climbing up 3, 4, 5 flights of stairs to get to an upper floor to make a repair. You know what I'm saying? You do have to go with your compact line. And again, your compact stuff is good. So just work on like taking away the aluminum, maybe adding things like magnesium. We don't want cheap tools, to be clear. We just want lighter tools. So maybe work with carbon fiber and magnesium to make lighter tools where it's heavy duty plastic mixed with light metals that can achieve the same performance, right? The name of the game is no longer power, it's comfort. If I have all of these, which one am I grabbing? I'm grabbing this. And it's not because I'm a red fanboy, it's because I know where my tool is going to get me. And that is to the end of the day without fatigue in the hands. Most people, contractors, carpenters, everybody, they're using a lot of these gloves specifically. These are the cut level 1 gloves. When I go to my local Home Depot, they tell me like, hey, if they're on sale, you should grab them because contractors come in here and they buy them like by the bag full, or they'll just grab the whole box. And even with these, with the Flex, you can still feel a lot of that vibration. You can still feel it. And, the vibration does get better when you go to max speed. But who do you know, instead of starting a cut very slowly, just goes crank it up to max speed and go. It's all the noise, it's all the vibration, and none of the control. This is a precision tool, essentially. And while I do like the lights, I will say that the lights are very nice on the Flex. In good faith, I can't recommend this tool to people. Unless you are 100% in the Flex line and you just like that, then that's great. But, it's not about being weak. It's not about having soft hands. It's about which tool do I want to grab when I know I have to get something done. And this is a win or no contest, Would I grab the Flex over the Walmart Hyper Tough? Absolutely, because it's quieter. And there's, if we're talking about vibration, honestly, apart from the rubber body versus the straight up plastic, they kind of have similar vibration. So that sucks. And for everybody saying that, oh, it has great vibration suppression, if you look at 3 years ago, 3 years ago, Project Farm did a video where he took the M18 fuel and he did vibration tests for a bunch of different multi-tools, including the Flex. The M18 had 6 times less vibration than the Flex. Either 6 or 7. If this scored a 35, the Milwaukee scored like a 5. So it was either 30 or 35 for the vibration. So it was 6 or 7 times less vibration. And it is noticeable. It feels like you can touch this when it's on, and all the vibration is just at the head. It feels like it's a separate tool, and you can move it around in there. It feels like it's not connected to your hand. So all the vibration is up here instead of where your hand is. And Milwaukee was like, hey, grab it wherever you want. You need to grab it up here. You need to grab it down here. You need the little rotary dial to change the speeds, to change the, on and off. Everything is right here. Quick little battery. You can use the CP batteries, so you don't have to have the full size. Just quick, and you can stand up your tool. I know VCG Construction has a problem with people standing their tools up because, yes, they can fall and damage finish work. But I like to grab my tools, have them standing, so I can just quickly grab them like an impact driver, drill, that kind of thing. I don't lay my tools down. I like to stand them up and, quickly just grab them, keep going. So the Flex obviously cannot do that. But, this is a learning experience. And again, I'm not hating on Flex, and I encourage people to continue to support Flex, and I want to see them grow. But this is one of those things where it's a go back to the drawing board, because there are some things that need to be better. Even if you do stick with the Starlock system, which again, I'm not going to ding you for, it's a recommendation to you, Flex, that in the box, you can't just say, where is it? Where is it? In the box, it has a wood blade and a wood metal blade. And that's awesome that they include these as far as Starlock. But what you need to do is have an OIS to Starlock adapter in your box. So when somebody buys them, if they're not ready to make that transition to Starlock, then they can at least use their blades, until they feel more comfortable, or until Starlocks are more in stock in their area, or if they just want to keep buying what they're used to because they have a tried and true product. You can't force people into something they don't want to just because it's the only option. You get what I mean? Now this thing, solid as a brick. I don't think this thing would ever break. And again, covered for life, at least for now. I would say in the future, do what Rigid does. And if anybody's covered for the lifetime warranty, when it's time to replace these, give them the next generation and then cover that one for life. Like the lifetime warranty is for anybody who supports. They only have to buy it one time. You do something like that, you will have the edge over Milwaukee, who in 5 years is going to tell me go buy this again if something's wrong with it. Your lifetime warranty is your only chip here. That's the only card you can play that's going to get you, more people away from DeWalt and away from Milwaukee, especially to go for Flex. Not a bad tool, certainly an effective tool. And if I slap in a blade, again, something that Flex failed to do as well is a magnet would have been nice. So I could just put my blade here. A magnet would keep it in place instead of me having to hold it while I open it. Meanwhile, Milwaukee's like, hey, we're not only going to add a magnet. How about we add 4 magnets, right? You put your blade up to it. You don't have to hold it there. You just need to put your blade in. It'll hold itself. You turn the wheel down and you lock it, once you, bring this up in the first place. But then you lock it down and then you lock it in place. That blade's not going to go anywhere regardless of the position. I think that's pretty neat. And that is clearly fighting me. Let's see how the Flex does. All right, piece like this. Maybe you're making some shims or whatnot. Let's see what the Milwaukee does, and the Flex is going to be first. Speed 1, 3 notches of the 2.5. All right. So that's how you would make a slightly tapered shim if you needed it. Again, rough, but this is something that's going to get tapped into a doorway or a window or something. Not going to be crazy. Same thing with the Milwaukee. Speed 1, right? You're at 3/4 of a battery, right? About, yeah, maybe half. Flex seems to have a good control of just forcing it straight through, and that's awesome. But as you can see, a lot of blade deflection. Even though I started here, that blade will start slowly making that curve upward. And that's not what we want. So I'm going to start again. Try to keep the blade as still as possible. Definitely takes longer with the Milwaukee. Wow. So the Flex definitely does something like this faster. Again, when it comes to softer materials like MDF, it's not going to be noticeable. But when it comes to harder woods like this, and it also matters as far as the blade. Impressively, the Flex isn't even, like, I was just cutting with this, you saw. And like this part is cold to the touch. It's just like the almost tip of the blade that's actually warm. Whereas the Milwaukee is, the heat's further down as well. So impressive on the Flex. Their blades are pretty good. Just to be clear, this is the Flex blade. It actually accommodates it. The Flex blade definitely made a change. Holy crap. So I will say, you know, if you see the Starlock blades from Flex out there, they do fit the OIS for Milwaukee. So I'd probably grab these over the standard Milwaukee blades. That is impressive. The only issue or the only downside is you do have to take the screw all the way out in order to remove your blade. And that was with the wood and metal blade. So let's see what happens if I give the Milwaukee the straight up wood blade. Holy crap. This Milwaukee is going to be unstoppable with the right blade. But as far as hand fatigue, again, 100%. Nobody's going to be walking around with the Flex all day without having something to say. And if you don't, you're lying to yourself. And that's okay. But it starts with admitting you're wrong. Alrighty, so we saw what the Milwaukee can do with the wood blade. This is the wood metal blade. Again, not exactly apples to apples comparison, but pretty similar. Let's see what this thing can do against that same premium stud. Wow. So it can do it faster. And again, I'm just looking through the camera while I'm doing this. So if I happen to make like an offset cut, I'm just making sure it's in the shot. But it's able to have more power than the M12. I will say that. But as far as vibration and noise, this thing is way more noisy and definitely more vibration. So do keep that in mind. There's pros and cons with everything. Wow, I'm definitely covered in sawdust. But yes, that is the Flex. Let me go one more time with the Milwaukee because I feel like the Flex is definitely taking a bit long as well. But the job is the job. I mean, it's the same amount of force to get through this material. All right, so I'm gonna have to look that back and see how much it takes, but it feels like they're cutting at about the same time. Maybe that flex being somewhat faster. So looking back, the flex's first cut got about 21 seconds before it finally got through, and the second cut was at about 35, 36 seconds. All right, and looking back, it was about 40, 41 seconds for the Milwaukee. I'm gonna run the Milwaukee one more time just to make sure it wasn't me just fumbling with the wood and that it actually is the cutting speed. All right, let's check that. Okay, so looking back at that run, it was about 33 seconds as well. So again, in that 20 to 40 seconds for a cut like that, again, trying to go as quick as possible. As you can see with the Milwaukee, it likes to kick a lot, and that's definitely something that people complain about is the blade deflection. Flex doesn't have a lot of that. It's just all or nothing, real force. Right? So it does drive a lot of that force into the wood and just get through the cut rather than kind of doing a lot of deflection, but at the cost of more noise and more vibration for sure. You take that same wood metal blade and, you know, maybe some 1/2 inch copper. Fastest in the world? Definitely not. Diablo's definitely got that beat as far as speed. And there are some burrs, of course, but if you needed to do it, it is what it is. Both of them do it. Again, it depends on the blade that you have attached. They both, again, I'm using them in the slowest speed because there is no equivalent unless you're using them at the lowest speeds together or their highest speeds. And, you know, at the highest speed, just to show you how that kind of goes out. Right, pretty straightforward. Same thing with the flex. Maximum speed. Yeah, definitely the Flexed is a beast on max. So the question is whether or not that extra vibration and that crazy amount of noise is worth it to you. Again, if you have an empty house and it's a job site and you're just kind of renovating something for somebody who's gonna move in, you might not care about the Flex doing what it does. But for Milwaukee, you crank that thing down to like half speed, way less vibration. You're gonna have way less vibration and definitely less noise. So I have found my error. Me holding the material my hand has been taking all of the vibration. If I just go, okay, this is a learning experience. I am a professional, I promise. But definitely, even with all the vibration dampening that my body was doing, essentially, the flex is definitely cutting faster. But just to show you, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Hold up. Yeah, both of them equally competent. It's just me being a jackass. Okay. I'm picking up what these tools are putting down. All right. That's on me. And I'm going to upload this. I'm not going to cut that. Just a learning experience. Again, these are super generic blades. Obviously, the flex blades are definitely still better. I will say, when you're cutting, all the vibration does go into the piece that you're cutting into, so the flex isn't as bad. But if you're doing really small pieces where there's not a lot of mass for the vibration to kind of get translated into, or transferred into, I should say, it's all going into your hand. I'm really pushing on them. That's why you're seeing a little bit of smoke. A little bit of smoke because I'm really trying to push on it. But both solid. Wow. I will say, pushing on the Milwaukee, it definitely doesn't mind it. The flex kind of pulls back a little bit, like, hey. The Milwaukee doesn't mind making a little smoke in exchange for getting through it faster. That is freaking cool. Hold up. Okay, so a little bit of cleanup. That 1.6 vac absolutely doing work. Love that vacuum. But would I recommend the flex? And the answer is yeah, in a certain sense. Again, if you're looking for just getting into the flex line, this is all they have as far as a multi-tool. It's perfectly fine. Do you need to go and spend that red premium? Absolutely not. If you're not already in the Milwaukee line, then, it may not be smart for you to go ahead and spend $200 and whatever that tool costs. It is covered for life, at least for now. I was able to, shout out to Tools and Tactics, I was able to buy the 2.5, maybe it's there. It's the 2.5 battery kit that comes with a charger, and you're able to pick a free tool. So for a free tool, absolutely. Just keep in mind that you will have to commit to the Starlock situation. So keep that in mind. You will be paying the premium for that and making sure that you can find these blades near you. Otherwise, are they very capable? Sure. Is the tool capable? Sure. If you were up on a ladder and dropped this, I promise you it wouldn't break. With that being said, hopefully Flex sticks around so that the lifetime warranty actually matters, because if they go out of business, well, all these tools are going to be pretty much decorative if something happens to them. I clean and I protect my tools very much so hopefully they last a lifetime. And, we don't really have, I was going to say DNA, but we don't really have evidence as far as the longevity of the tool, because nobody's been like, I've had mine for 10 straight years and it's been good. Things happen. But Flex is definitely listening to the feedback from people and also looking to recall any of those and warranty them. And I think that's awesome. The fact that they warranty batteries and chargers, even those 3 times, Flex, please keep that. Rigid covers their batteries, chargers, and everything for life. If you can do 3 lifetime replacements, and then the next one I buy, I register that one, and that's then covered for 3 replacements. You do something like that and then lifetime warranty the tools, and me and you are going to be very happy together. About 50-50 with rigid and flex. Because, the Milwaukee tools are great, but the premium you pay in order to have that M18 or M12 line is kind of tough. But I'm on 8 platforms because every brand, Ryobi, DeWalt, everybody makes something that's really good, or a few somethings that are good. And I don't like to be biased, and I like to not be stuck to one platform in case they decide to screw me over. Well, you jump to the next one. They screw you over, jump to the next one, the next one, the next one, etc. So a million cuts later, again, is it a bad tool that you would want to take and throw in the trash? And the answer is no. It is a solid, competent tool from Flex. Flex, what I would tell you, because I am locked into your system, Flex. I have your job site blower. I have your circ saw, your router, your 1.6 vac. I already did a video on that. The one-handed recip, the two-handed recip, the angle grinder, the D-handle jigsaw, the compact impact drill, the orbital sander, getting into the Flex line. And I want to be as honest as possible. You can't give an opinion if you're not somebody who's, investing and actively trying these tools for yourself. You can't just Google a couple of specs and then say which one's better because of what's on paper. You got to try them for yourself. As far as which one I would want to be using for 9-10 hours a day, I'm sorry, Flex, but I got to say my Milwaukee definitely has less vibration. Flex, make it lighter, give me better hand positioning, and this is going to be a beast. I already love your blades way more than the Milwaukee stock ones. This is pretty cool. The fact that they also fit OIS means if you have a different multi-tool, you won't go bad with these. We just want a lighter tool, something more compact, something that hits just as hard. You already have the power and speed. We just got to see how the ergonomics play. Do what Rigid did. Everybody was releasing really powerful tools, and Rigid said, hey, we're going to make a subcompact line, right? I don't want weaker tools that are way heavier than what I already have. It's not a really good buying point. Flex, I do believe you are what's next, but it starts with leaving that lifetime warranty and focusing on making people happy. You've only been around for 6 years. There are people that have tools older than you've been around with the 24 volt. I don't want to hear that 1922 with the Flex shaft. Flex has been here forever. No, I'm talking about specifically your 24 volt line in America has only been around for a few years. People have been passing down their Milwaukee tools. Why do you think that is? Because they're tried and true. Same thing with DeWalt's. You put that lifetime warranty, leave it permanent. Not that 1 year little suspense, FOMO, fear of missing out, hurry up and get it. No. Take care of people, and we will absolutely go investing. Over there got the compact impact wrench as well. I like what Flex is doing with the line. I like the nailers, especially the brad nailer. I have it. The pin nailer, the table saw, those are all things that may be in the making. But when you force people to hurry up and get it where the lifetime warranty is gone, remember, Flex, people have to work for their paychecks. We can't just be dropping $600, $700, $800 worth of tools whenever we feel like it. So do keep that in mind. And you have yourself an excellent day. Work smart.